Welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat Podcast, y'all. I am your host, JoJo.
And I'm Tyra.
Ooh.
New hair, who this?
Okay, you feel me? Damn, you was not gonna let that go. You started off the rip.
Right.
For those of you who can't tell, and I didn't post anything, so I guess it's really not that.
You posted it on your story, though.
Very quickly, but I don't think like it's that big of a thing. Anyway, I cut my hair. I took a couple inches off. I was feeling bold and ballsy. And I kept telling her like, oh, I think I'm going to take a couple inches off because I never done a big chop. So for me, this was a big chop. For those of you who
It
can
is a
see.
big chop.
It was a little bit down my back. Just a little bit. Between like the shoulders and stuff. So it was fairly long. But I felt like it wasn't healthy long. So I was like, you know what? Summer's around the corner. I'm about to go on vacation. Like, I want to cut my hair. So it'd be less maintenance. Yeah. Because curly hair is a lot. And I wear a bun a lot. Mainly because, like, I put my hair up for work. But also because it's like, I just sometimes don't feel like rolling out of bed and going through the whole process of doing my hair. Like, curly hair is a process. And I give credit to all the girlies who have, like, real long or, like, thick, curly hair, because I can't even deal with maintaining the little bit that I have.
I wish.
Yeah, okay. You say that.
I wish I had the option.
They always wish, and then when it's happening, it's like, oh my God.
No, honestly, I feel like that's like the one thing I didn't get from my dad, as well as his eyes. Like, if I had his eyes and the curly hair.
Yeah, but who has curly hair?
It'd be way too much for you hoes. Way too much. Who has curly hair?
Yeah.
My sister's from Puerto Rico.
She said it would be way too much for you hoes. Is crazy.
And Rachel also has curly hair.
She does. She doesn't embrace it. And I'm telling her, I'm like, if you don't let your curls out.
She used to. I don't know what the hell happened, but like she barely does it now. And
every curly head girl, it like goes through a straightening phase where they're like straight all the time. And usually they're like, when they try to get their curls back, like it does not come back. Like it's like straight ends, and you have to like make this major chop just for it to come back.
Literally.
I never got that deep into it. But anyway, yes, I cut it. I wanted a little bit more of a shoulder length, in hopes that it would be less maintenance. It's only been like not even a week since I got it cut, and I'm a little obsessed with it. It's giving very grownish, very adult.
It is.
But I also feel like I'm getting used to it already, and I'm considering going shorter.
I know. That's what
I know. Relax.
I feel like that's what I figured earlier when I told you.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it, but I don't know, because that price was a little pricey, so it's gonna be a little bit.
Really?
Till I do it again. Yeah.
Oh, gee. It's always something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so this weekend we met up with the group that's coming with us to Bali and Thailand. Not everybody, only those who obviously live close, in New York. And we went to this bar called Slate. And it's kind of like
it's giving like a barcode for those of you who know, like, oh, maybe not barcode.
Yeah.
Is that what
That's
it
barcode.
Is? Oh, okay. I'm thinking of one in Philly, but there's one in Elizabeth, no?
In Jersey City.
There's a barcode.
Yeah.
But it's not Barcade. Barcade is what I'm thinking about. Sorry, I was. Barcade. Because I know that there's one in Philly, but I'm sure there's like arcade bars out here too. But that's kind of what it was. It's like it's a big ass venue in New York that has an upstairs, downstairs. Upstairs is like a whole club, only opens at a certain time at night. And then the downstairs level, you take like a slide downstairs. Yeah. It's actually pretty cool, and it's like really big, spacious, and they have like pool tables, big like Connect Fours, big Jengas, big
bowling.
Yeah, they have a bowling section. They have an arcade basketball section, the little rolly section. Yeah, pool tables, foosball tables, Uno cards, like so many things.
Yeah. And we went to it before to like a lesbian event. And it wasn't too crowded. Like, I feel like it had a good number of people in this area. And we didn't know this, but like, it's actually a very popular bar. We didn't know it was going to be that packed, but girl, I'm telling you, it was packed. And we were like, oh shit, like we didn't make reservations. We didn't know that we had to. But yeah, talked to the manager, got a section because like we're not about to be here just standing,
Yeah.
you know, jackets in our hands. But a lot of people ended up showing up, and it was a vibe.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody who came. Y'all real ones.
And we also met someone who actually works there and listens to the podcast.
Oh
so
my
cool.
God. Yes, that was such a surprise.
I know, right?
Oh my.
Yeah.
I thought so. Like I saw the girl talking to you, and I thought it was like somebody you knew. Like you were like waving me over to come say hi or whatever. So I just thought it was somebody that you knew from like somewhere within your past life. And when I went up to them and they were like, "Oh my God, like she listens to the podcast, like she's a listener, you know," and I was like, "Oh my God, girl!"
Right? Like, what are the odds?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I didn't expect that there. But
she was giving us some shots too. Like,
yeah, she was really
up,
nice.
Hooking it up.
Yeah, she was cool. But I had fun. I had to tell her, like, I'm okay. So for those of you who like don't know me, I could be a little weird sometimes, and I say this to say like I don't want to say weird, but I can be. I feel like I could be standoffish, and depending on like the environment that we're in, or like you know what the vibe is, like I can be a very like outgoing person and very social, or I can like close in a little bit where I'm just like I don't know how to like I don't know how to explain it, but I was telling her, I was like, even knowing some of the people that came and meeting new people that came, I was like low-key overwhelmed because I was like, there's so many like I don't know how to separate my attention, I guess so to say. So I was like, oh my God, like one, I'm weird as fuck because like when I say hi to people, like greetings and like welcoming and hello greetings and goodbye greetings, like I'm really bad at. Like I feel like that's one of the most awkward things for me. But I'm also a person who like kind of plays off of other people's like energy and reactions. So like if I put myself in a position where I'm like, okay, I gotta be, you know, I gotta make the initiate the interaction, and then I just get like a dry response back. I'm just like, okay, I don't know what to do with that. I'm really bad at small talk, like really bad. So I feel like when I'm put in positions where I have to kind of like small talk or like the talking isn't like going anywhere for me because I don't know. I think I can just sometimes make it awkward. I don't know. I just be I be in my head.
I feel like sometimes I could get like that, but then I feel like there's a part of me that's just like a chatterbox.
Yeah, girl,
that's
you
like
be gone
talking so much. And sometimes I'm like, am I talking too much? Like, because I'm like you about to know everything about me right now type shit. And like I already talk a lot in the podcast, and then I feel like I was telling people things and I'm like, I don't know if they know this already, but I don't care because to me, I'm saying it to you for the first time, and maybe for them, it's like they probably heard it. I don't know, but people forget. I be forgetting shit that I be saying all the time.
In my head, I feel like I was being like I'm the opposite, where I'm just like I'm not talking enough, and I hope I'm not making this awkward for them. Like if you. Because I feel like you're one to ask people questions too. You ask questions, like you get into the nitty gritty, like yeah. And I feel like I'm like I don't know what to ask, and if I do ask something, and like it's not a banter, like back and forth, like okay, you asked me something, and like you're showing interest in the same way, then I don't know where to go from there, and I'm just like weird, and I kind of shut down.
Yeah,
but I got better. Because then I also don't want to feel like...
Well, we took a shot as soon as we got there for everybody. It was a green tea shot, so it was nothing crazy. And I feel like once like people started like getting drinks in and stuff like that, like we were talking. And I also feel like we already knew some of the people there already, so it wasn't like awkward like that. But I feel like I could be such a hoe sometimes, like...
A host or a hoe? What'd you just say?
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying. Clarify that.
A host.
Okay, very good.
Did it sound like girl, I said a hoe?
In my, from here? Where I was listening, it sounded like you said a
host. Like, okay, I'm like, good. I want to make sure that everyone's good. Yeah. Like, it's like, what are you drinking? Do you you want anything?
It's also hard in environments where it's like,
And the
where
music,
we chose
the
to
music
be.
was crazy loud.
Yeah, and the music's loud, and it's just like,
I did
I'm
not
exhausted. I
didn't
did not
expect
feel like
that.
yelling.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of yelling. I did not expect it to be that loud.
Yeah, it was jumping.
And I'm like,
At least the DJ came through and got better.
Yeah, but that's one thing. Like, they play really good music there, and I feel like for the area, you don't expect that because you probably expect it to be like, I don't know, like whitewashed in a sense. But I feel like they play a lot of good music, different music. And then what I love about it too is like all of a sudden, like these dancers came out of nowhere, and I'm like, wait, do they work here?
Oh yeah,
like at first I didn't know. I'm like, you know what? Like New York is New York. Like you'll see somebody.
New York will entertain.
Yeah, you'll see somebody in a Halloween costume, and it's literally not even Halloween, and you're like, okay, like whatever. So I was like, oh, I'm not sure, but then I'm like, oh, there's more of them. And they kept coming to the table and dancing. So I'm like, okay, they work here. And then the host was also like this queer man. And I'm like, this isn't even a queer spot from what I know. So I was already like, okay, like I love this because New York is just very inclusive. So even though it was a straight space, it really felt very queer, at least for us.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was fun. And honestly, it just gave me like a little hint of what it's like, what it's going to be like in Thailand and Bali. And yeah, it's just going to be crazy. I already know. Because everyone's like, I mean, not that everybody has to drink, but like everyone was like drinking, having fun, dancing, singing. We were twerking, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So I already know that Thailand and Bali are going to be a problem, but like in the best ways possible. So that being said, we still have tickets. Like some people did DM us, and there are still spots available. The link is in our bio. The only thing is that this would be the last month where like you have to pay in full. Well, right now you would put 25% down, but like in 3 weeks from now, you will have to pay the rest off. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to DM us. And it's also linked to our highlights. So if you guys have any questions with like what excursions, what hotels and things like that, it's also in our highlights. I can't even talk. But the other thing I wanted to mention is like, so right after we went to Slate, it's like we could never go home. Like, I don't know why we do this.
We just be so excited to be outside because we're like, when do we do this? When do we go outside?
Like, what's next? It's like, girl,
go
home. You're not even from here. Like you from Jersey. Of course. So after that, we went to another place. We went to Cubby Hole, which is like this popular lesbian bar in New York City that everyone always talks about. Yeah, what are your thoughts? I've always wanted to go, by the way, so I didn't regret going.
Isn't it like an after spot?
No, it's a bar.
It was like open till late.
No, yeah, like it's right now. I looked it up and it's open right now, and it's 5:30.
Okay.
So
apparently they don't close till like 4 a.m.
They have
we were there basically till they closed.
4.2 stars on Google. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lesbian bar with like a jukebox. That's what it says. Drink specials and colorful decor. We go in, and I already knew like what to expect. Like even though I'd never been there, I already had a feeling that it wasn't gonna be inclusive in a sense of like we go in there and like they're playing like a song we know or like a song that we'll dance to. I already knew that wasn't the vibe.
It's a very poppy environment. And like music wise, it's just like, you know, people like EDM type stuff. People like the poppy girls where it's like Ariana, you hear me? Like Ariana Grande and like, I don't know, other shit like that.
Ariana Grande is cool though. Like
I fuck with Ariana Grande though.
But like Taylor Swift and like these bands that I've probably never listened to, and like maybe like some K-pop. Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's just because that's the majority.
Right, that's the majority.
That goes there.
Right. So that wasn't bad. I mean, we went in and it's one of those places where they have mirrors at the end of the bar. So I'm walking. I'm like, all right, like we about to walk in and tour, you know, go do your rounds. And I'm like, oh, this is the end of the bar. Like it's a very small place.
Yeah.
And of course, they have a jukebox there. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to change the music. And like, you have to pay extra if you want your song to play next. So, girl, I don't know how much money I spent on that damn jukebox. It takes Apple Pay. So I was like, oh, let me scan it again. Let me scan it again. And I think I scanned it maybe like twice. I don't want to look at. I don't even want to look at my Apple Card because I feel like sometimes I be using my Apple Card as if like someone else is gonna pay for it when it's like me that has to pay for it. But Bad Bunny, I'm gonna play Bad Bunny. So we started playing Bad Bunny and we were all like dancing and singing. We were like the only ones.
Yeah, by the time we got in there, it wasn't really like packed or
Yeah,
nothing.
it
It
was
was
pretty
pretty,
late.
yeah, it was pretty like chill. And then we came in and was like, all right, let's tear it up. Let's vibe out. And then we were like, for some of us who haven't been there, we're like, oh, this is the infamous
Cubby
cubby
hole.
hole. Okay. I mean, no shade. A spot is a
No
spot. And
shade.
I was saying, like, it's so crazy because even with Slate, like, we've been to Slate before, and it, like she said, you know, we went for a queer event that was like hosted there, but it's not a queer,
Space.
yeah, space on a regular. So being there where it wasn't like all women around and whatever, I mean, it was still cool. Like she said, it didn't feel that weird. But it's just like, oh snap, there really aren't many queer spaces that are just queer spaces. They're like, you know, I feel like a lot of lesbian or queer type parties are hosted in certain venues on certain days or throughout certain, you know, times of the year, as like a pop-up event.
Yeah.
So I feel like we have only pop-up events to look forward to, so to say. We don't have a direct space.
But
So
my
I mean,
thing
shout
is,
out to Cubbyhole for being that direct space,
right.
even though it's not as, you know,
It's just not like it's not like where I would usually go to listen to like Hispanic and like hip hop music, you know?
yeah, it's
Like
just a different
I
vibe.
would go when I'm already like trash, girl, because like I'll dance to anything. Like I'm gonna have fun anywhere. But I did like that they have the jukebox because that way like you could just play the music that you want.
Yeah.
And I feel like the vibe was so off because it was like Bad Bunny and then like I don't know what the hell next. Like what other song was playing next. But it was an experience, and I feel like we've been saying like, oh, we want to go, we want to go, we want to check it out. So that was cool. I do hear that they might have like I don't know, like certain nights where they play certain music, but at the same time, I don't know how that's possible since they have the jukebox and anybody could play music. So I don't know, but I know that there's more, but they're like in Brooklyn, and I feel like Brooklyn be so far, especially from Jersey. And like y'all don't even want to know the price of the Ubers that we be paying to come back here. Cause you know, after you have a certain amount of drinks, it's like we're not taking the subway. We about to get lost.
So
Like
yeah,
it's
we
just
be
like
playing ourselves all like, yeah, we'll take the subway
yeah,
back. We got to be back at this time, and then we're never back at that time.
and
We
yeah,
don't get the last subway, and we just end up taking a Uber home.
literally. But anyways, that was fun. So I want to get into today's topic, and I got the idea because there's always lesbian drama on TikTok. Always. Like I feel like every other week there's just something going on.
Do y'all remember back in December when Shannon Beveridge and Becca Moore announced on Becca's podcast that they were breaking up because Becca couldn't see herself having a baby with another woman and didn't want to waste any more of Shannon's time? Well, Becca just posted a new episode, and she's saying that that was all actually a lie and not the real reason why they broke up. And of course, I watched the full 1 hour podcast episode, so you didn't have to, and I'm going to recap it for y'all, but this is going to be a long one, so get comfortable and play in 2x speed. And just
She basically made a podcast kind of giving her side of the story, even though they did have a podcast together where they talked about them breaking up. But what they talked about in the podcast was apparently a lie. And it was an excuse that they wanted to give fans, but that wasn't the reason why they broke up. So the girl made a new podcast episode recently.
Who is the girl?
Her name is Becca.
Okay. So
Um,
an influencer named Becca.
yeah.
Okay.
And she has a podcast called For the Girls.
Okay. And she dated.
She dated that girl named Shannon
Okay.
Beveridge or whatever.
Okay.
So whatever, they dated, it didn't end up working out. They broke up, and people were shocked and like we're like, oh my god, let's take it back. Let's take back what we said about Becca, all the negative comments that we threw at her. And I feel like, see, this is the shit with social media that kind of annoys me. Like I feel like people are very quick to talk without knowing anything. Like, it's like, so the reason why they broke up, the first reason is because apparently Becca said that she couldn't see herself having kids with Shannon in the future, which apparently was a lie. So people were like coming at her because they were like, so you don't see, you know, woman on woman relationships and having kids as like legit? And she's like, no, that's not what I'm saying. So it just turned into like this big old thing. And I feel like one thing that Becca was talking about was like, I'm a baby gay, and like I just had no idea what I was getting myself into, pretty much. And like there's just so many things that I didn't know that now I know, and I wish I should have, like I wish I could have known. And then I thought about it and I was like, damn, like I feel the same way in regards to like people that I dated. Like I'm like, I was just so clueless, like going into the LGBTQ scene, and like, I don't know, I feel like there's like certain things that, and it's not even anything out of the ordinary, but it's like, oh, I wish I would have known that. Like I didn't know that people in the LGBTQ community are so against bi women. I didn't know that. And pretty much I kind of want to talk about like, what are some things that like you wish you knew as like a newly baby gay, or like just some things that you should know as a baby gay? And the first one that I have is that boundaries with like the same sex couple versus the opposite. So when I first started dating a girl, I felt like my boundaries were getting crossed and I was tolerating it instead of literally putting my foot down. Like if I was talking to a guy and they would have done the same thing, I would have cut them off. But when I was talking to women, for some reason, if they would have done something similar, I would have kept talking to them, and I would have kept giving them chances. And then I was like, why am I giving this person chances when I wouldn't tolerate that from a guy? Like, I just wouldn't tolerate that from nobody. Not even like friends and things like that. Like, an example is, and I'm not sharing this example as like something that happened, but like, let's say you hate when people are late. Like, you just hate waiting like an hour, 2 hours. And let's say the person that you're dating is late an hour, 2 hours. And it's like, if it was a guy, I would have been like, date is canceled. You're not coming over or whatever. Like, that's it. I already made plans because like I'm ready. But like with a girl, it's like, you're like, oh, well, she's a girl, so she's probably just taking long. And it's like, no, that's your time. Like, if you guys set up a time to meet up at a certain time, she should respect your time. And that's it. And like, she had spoken about something similar to this, and it was like pretty much something happened in the beginning of their relationship where in a bar. I don't know what it could be. It could be a million hundred things. And she was like, I would have never tolerated that with a guy. And I'm like, yeah, it's a lot of things that I feel like we wouldn't tolerate if we were dating a guy. Like, we would just cut them off completely, or, you know. Do you have one, or do you want me to go over my lists? Because that's the only one that I had. And then I did some research on like other things that our guests are.
So I laughed originally when you asked the whole baby gay thing, because I was like, girl,
What?
I don't remember. Like,
What?
I feel like I've been gay for so long.
Right.
That like my baby gay self was like 14, 15.
I know.
But I do think the boundaries one is a good example. I mean, I didn't have the dating male experience. Like I had, you know, had interactions with guys when I was younger, but I never pursued wholeheartedly like relationships and shit with them, because I had started you know, filling out my sexuality and stuff. And I would say like, I guess kind of for me would be like the blurred lines with friendships. So just like not knowing if this person likes me, like especially with straight girls, because I feel like majority of my friends in that time frame were straight women. And it was just really hard to tell, like, are you flirting with me? Are you like, are you even curious like that? Or are you straight? Like, I don't know. Are we just being friends? Am I delusional? And those lines were always blurred, and I feel like it was always kind of hard to I guess like say something about it, because it's just like, I don't want to be the one. First of all, I'd rather just be delusional and think like, oh, maybe I think she likes me, but I'm not gonna say nothing, or oh, she doesn't like me, but in real life she likes me, like whatever. Because now it's like, I don't want it to be like, oh, because I'm the only gay one, that I'm like trying to pursue you knowing that you're not gay, or like I'm trying to push or influence myself on you in any way, like weird shit. Which I actually seen a TikTok about that, but we can talk about it in another episode, because I don't want to deviate from this. But I do think like that was one of the things, is just like being straight up, like, hey, if I have feelings for a friend, I'm just gonna be like, I guess figuring out and navigating that by myself. Like, even friends that liked me in return, like once upon a time, where it was like, all right, like I don't feel the same way, but I do value our friendship type shit. But I understand if like this can't, like that, you can't figure that out. Like you can't navigate between the friendship and your feelings for me as a person. So many things. I think that's one of the things that we definitely struggle with within the lesbian community.
Yeah. Like just knowing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. With the friend thing too, like I feel like at first, like I was just so confused with like, this is very common and this is part of the list, like being best friends or being friends with like your ex is very normalized in the queer community. And the first girl I talked to, I was like, that's weird. Like I was like, I don't know, like it was like a argument type shit. Like I'm like, that is just so strange to me. Like, you think I'm cool with any of the guys that I fuck with? Like, no, like we're not besties. Like that would never rock. Like that would ruin my relationships with everybody moving forward. If I dated someone and I introduced them as like, yeah, that's my best friend, also my ex. Like it's like,
I don't know why I just
what
thought
the
about
fuck?
this, but I mean, I don't think this is like an excuse or like a justifiable answer. But like, do you think that it could be because, at least like as women within the community, like being gay or bisexual or queer, that we already don't have people who are a part of our community that like surround us, that it's like, okay, like our relationship went to shit, this is going to be hard to navigate a friendship with you, but I need someone I can relate to.
Yeah, I feel like later on I started getting it, because to me it was like, well, you're a woman, she's a woman. Like I feel like there was nothing making you guys different, but now it's like mask, STEM, femme. And I feel like once you start learning that people label themselves at that as that, and that they sometimes do not date the same type of person as them, like maybe a femme wouldn't date a femme for whatever reason, or maybe a stud wouldn't date a stud. It's like you're like, oh, okay, so like maybe you guys would never date. But like I still think that that's a little strange to me, because I still see as people as women, like women, like it is what it is. I don't care what clothes you're wearing. I don't care if you're wearing makeup or not. You're still a woman. But I know that a lot of people do only date. Like there's a whole trend right now with Easy's voice over, and it's like STEM, femme, and it's like a blink every time, or like a little ding every time, and people are like rating if they would, or dancing or whatever, if they would date that person.
Yeah.
And when they say bye, like
it's
people,
like types and preferences, I
right,
guess.
and it is what it is. It's like you got your preference and whatever. But like when you are a baby gay, you don't know that. I mean, at least I didn't know.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a
like,
lot
wow,
to
this
take in.
is a lot.
Yeah.
This is a lot of information. And I feel like I didn't even start learning that until like way later on. Like maybe like when we started doing this podcast, because I still wasn't even watching the L Word, which is another thing. The first two girls that I dated never told me about the L Word. Can you
Because
believe
they were
that?
boring.
I'm like, how come no one brought this
Boring.
up? I'm like, they introduced me to The Office.
Ew. Are you fucking
know
kidding me?
I know you hate The Office.
I don't hate it. I just don't like. It's not for me. Like I can't stick with it. Like I can't latch. But wow, The Office. You know what? there's something for everybody. I'm not gonna shit talk, you know, but like
No,
I
but
have a very
I like The Office. It's like very, like dry humor.
yeah. I
But
you
like
can keep that.
you need to be introduced to queer movies and queer like
And y'all know I go searching for them.
queer shows and
I'm
like
watching Queer Folk right now. Queer as Folk as I was.
and what is that? Queer as folk. Tell me.
So I think I mentioned this before. Like it's basically like a male gay L word. And it actually came out before the L word, if I'm not mistaken, when I looked it up. Before the L word premiered, the Queer as Folk came out. Now there's a bunch of different reboots apparently. I did watch the most recent, like from like 2022 or something, and that was cute, but it wasn't that long. It was like a season or so. It was quick, finished. I don't know that that's gonna come out, but it was more up to date with, you know, the generation now. But the older one I'm watching right now is like a bunch of seasons. It's from like 2000 and and it's mostly like gay men, you know, a group of gay men, their friends, you know, how their relationships go, how their sex lives go, you know, a lot. And it's just so great to see, because I'm just like, this is why I question, why don't I have a male gay best friend aside from my uncle, of course, but like some of them are just like us and some of them are lavish or more than us, or I don't know, it's just cool to see some of the similarities and differences between gay men and gay women.
Yeah. But yeah, the L word apparently that's like the big thing for like lesbians, and I wish I would have known that, because I feel like I would have just, I don't know, like it's like knowing insiders. If you don't watch the L word, then you don't know who Shane is, and you can't be like, yo, that's a Shane.
But it's so crazy because it took you so long after we dated for you to watch the L word. Well, it wasn't until Generation Q came out.
Well, Generation Q is like more my speed, you know? Because like it's like more modern and up to date.
But you watch The Office.
Quality is amazing. Now, the old L word, I feel like it could be a little hard for you to get into because it's not so old, but it's a little older.
Yeah. I guess for some of y'all who don't grow up on television and movies, it's a little bit of a cringe and a throwback. But
I know.
Nonetheless, good storylines, great things, so many different, like, just all types of ways how they navigated through relationships, friendships, you know, sexuality.
Yeah. And especially with, I don't know, Generation Q also had a lot of diversity in it. With everything, with like trans, disabilities, things like that. So I also love that aspect of it. I think that the old L word, that's what I kind of was just like, where's the diversity? Who was
diversity
it?
was Bobby and Carmen.
Yeah.
And Kit.
And Carmen couldn't even speak
Max.
Spanish.
You don't remember Max?
Yeah, I do remember Max. Yeah, I remember Max. Yeah, I don't know. It just took some time.
Those were the diversity. But you have to think about it. What was the time frame that it was filmed?
Yeah, like
so 2000s. It's like that made sense for that time. So sure, it's hard to watch now, but the Generation Q did come through, I feel like.
Another thing that I feel like is very normalized in the lesbian queer community is like long distance relationships. I feel like since there are not a lot of us, we kind of have to expand our search, like literally expand your dating profile to like 100 miles, because it's like
there's a lot of us. We just don't know where to find us.
Yeah, literally. And I feel like it's so cliche for like the only two gay people at work to date, you know? And it's like, why? Why would you want to do that? Like, so I feel like that's something that's not so normalized in the straight community. And like I did a whole long distance thing and I was like, this is not for me. There was a lot of things that weren't for me, but that was like one of them. But I feel like in the queer community, you always hear about people who are like, you know, we were long distance and then we decided to move in together. And like me and Georgia were kind of long distance. An hour and a half was pretty long.
Yeah.
And then with traffic, forget it. So that's another thing that's like very normalized. I only have like 3 more. Nail lengths. Am I saying
Nail lengths.
Yeah. So some people judge you based off the like length of your nails.
That's
So if
bullshit.
some people, and honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I see very long nails and I'm like, wow, I would never. Like, you cannot. No. Don't even come close to me. I will bleed. Like, but yeah, some girls have very long nails and they still do whatever. And some girls religiously always keep their nails short. I feel like I rarely have claws, very rarely. And I honestly just feel more comfortable with short nails. It's not even like a sexual thing. I just feel more comfortable with them. And I can't type with the long nails. Like, I really suck.
There's nothing worse than having your nails done, and when you go to scratch, the scratch is not scratching. Like, it's not satisfying the itch.
Yeah, that shit pisses me off. Like, I can't.
But I do like when you have long nails from time to time because it is cute for for caressing purposes.
Yeah, like I feel like it does look cute. Like, I feel like when I do things, it just looks cuter, you know? Like, oh, let me take a picture of my coffee with my nails. You know, like little things like that.
I'm just a girl.
But a new thing that the girls are doing now is like they still want to have their long claws, but they keep 2 fingers short. And they ask for them, like, please keep these 2 fingers short. Most people don't ask, but if you want to follow that trend and they ask like, why? Just tell them that you like to bowl, like that you like to go bowling and your nails can't fit in the holes. Yeah. Just a bowling thing. I'm in a bowling club.
First of all,
yeah.
You can ask me why all you want, but it's none of your damn business.
Some nail techs be all up in your business.
And that's fine.
Like,
you really want to know?
Like, let's
I can show you better than I can tell you.
Like, let's say you always go to the same nail tech. She always does your claws. And then all of a sudden you want to tell me you're in a bowling club? Yeah, girl. Just do the short nails. And and don't worry about it. The other thing is like lesbian time. And this one is kind of like cliche because I feel like,
what is lesbian time?
It's like it's just basically different from regular time. Like,
time check.
5:53.
Okay, good.
Like,
I've been looking at your titties the whole time.
Oh, really?
I'm not gonna lie, but
Thanks.
as you were.
Thanks. Lesbian time is just like literally one date with us. It's like a week because we have intentional conversations. I mean, that's obvious, obvio. But like, and this is why people in Love is Blind fall in love so hard because they're purposely have to have intentional conversations before anything else, before any of the sleeping around. It's like they want to know everything about your childhood, about your parents, about your family, about your values. I wouldn't say everything because I feel like some of them come out and they don't even know like their political party and shit like that. But it's like we already do that. Like, I feel like as women, we always try to have intentional conversations. And like, for example, like when we first met, we would play that game a lot with the cards. You try to play that shit with a guy, and I feel like it's like talking to a wall sometimes. It's like sometimes they don't want to go deep, or it's like everything's a joke to them. So it's like, okay, now this game is like not fun because you're not actively participating and you don't want to actively talk about yourself. So I think lesbian time is a real thing, but I do know that there's a lot of couples out there that move quickly too. And they're just a straight couple. And they just had a great connection and yeah, but it's just very rare. I just feel like I don't see it often. All right, and then the last one that I want to talk about is like the infamous joke of like, what does a lesbian take on the second date? Like, you should know that joke if you're new in the queer community, and you know it obviously, right?
What does a lesbian take
or bring?
Yes.
What does the lesbian bring on their second date? A U-Haul.
Yes.
Because literally, you guys just move in together. Period. It's like they're already there. Well, I'm gonna pay two rents. But pretty much it's just like a joke of like how lesbians move in quickly and like they dive into the relationships way quicker than like a straight couple would. But yeah, do you have any that I didn't talk about
No,
that I
just
feel like
what I mentioned in the
are the
beginning.
must-haves? Yeah, about all the friendship thing.
Mm-hmm.
I also feel like another one that I guess isn't on my list, which is kind of related to the friend thing. It's like there are some people that you should have just been friends with and never dated,
Yeah.
or like they could have just been a coworker and you never had to date them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But since they're the only other gay person that you know because they look gay, then it's like it's easy, if that makes sense.
Just trying to find that relation.
And another thing I would say is that I guess I wish I would have known is that I wish I would have asked more questions to those people that I dated in reference to like their exes. I want to know if they dated like the straight girl. I just want to know if like you go after the straight girl in quotations. If that makes sense.
Why?
Because I feel like it tells me a lot about.
No, it doesn't.
Really?
They don't tell you shit.
I feel like it tells me a lot about like your history. And
What's
I just
the history?
that you just love people falling for you and like this is just like a game for you. I feel like you know, like some of them really just do this for fun.
It can be a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And sure, for some people that might be their intent.
Yeah, and that might be a red flag.
But I don't think that that's for everybody.
It's not. No, I mean I feel like if you're trying
dated
to
straight girls before you.
I know you did.
And here I am.
And here you are. See, I never. What for what?
You don't have to because you didn't have to go through the struggle of figuring out, is she gay? Is she gay? Is she gay? Is she not gay?
Right.
So you kind of gotta work with what you got, sweetheart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess.
Very fortunate time for you to come out then, I guess.
Ah, Lord, everybody came out when I came out. Like the fuck, I don't know.
Basically.
So crazy. Like COVID really did a lot of things for people. But that is the end. We're not gonna go into a family meeting because we really don't have as many. So I feel like y'all gotta submit something that anything. Literally a story, a question, anything. I feel like most of the ones that we've had are a little repetitive, so I don't wanna be repetitive. So
Word. Well, that was a pretty good topic. I liked it.
thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Deuce, mother goose.
Bye.